After acquiring key plots of land for projects such as the Ashland Public School, the bus depot, the bus station, and our new interchange by Hillside, we have a lot of empty space just waiting to be utilized. So to keep pace with the city's growth, Ashland is moving straight into the next phase of development. We're going to build out all of the road infrastructure for our biggest development yet. While we're at it, we'll give every new district a proper name and rename others, each inspired from real places. Alright, so the first place I want to develop is actually the steep Grady area. I'm not really sure if that's a sentence or not, but I'm just going to roll with it. So the reason I've avoided it is because it would be much more costly to develop here, especially when we had our waterfront right there, which would be more valuable and easier to develop. It just didn't make sense. So there is a hill right here, and I think we can use this as a future rather than just run a road right through it and call it a day. If we're on top of the hill, there's this decent view that we might be able to make better during development. So really, I want to turn this into a park and preserve this view. And what I'm going to do is just snake a road from our arterial up to our connector, and then I'll just put a district over it. And I actually have a pretty good name this time. So in a real life city called Ashland in Oregon back in 1850, it was originally called Ashland Mills. The founders built a sawmill on Ashland Creek and later a flour mill. And then by the 1870s, the town just started calling itself Ashland as it outgrew the mill site. But those mills mattered because they had everything that early settlers needed. A bunch of trees, steady creek water, and perfect soil for growing wheat. They'd cut the lumber on the spot instead of hauling the logs to faraway sites, and they ground the grain into flour, which would feed the miners and all the families close by. So TLDR, the mills turned their resources into wood and food that kept the town alive, and because of that, I really like the name Mills Park. Although this isn't really a direct replica of that real-life Ashland, we will steal some of its history. Alright, and with that kind of lengthy explanation out of the way, I want to do a bit of grading. This area is going to be difficult to work in, and there's one thing that bugs me more than anything, and it's when people have cliffs in their backyards. So the terrain just messes with everything, and I can't stand that. So I want to work with this area, but I also want the area to work with me just a little bit. In terms of roads, I want to maximize our developable land, so there'll probably be a few grids along here just to try and get the most bang for our buck. But before I do any of that, I should actually lay the road for the elementary school. So the elementary school will go in this little plot right down here. It'll be much easier to work with and much easier to expand in the future. So it kind of gives us a barrier to work from. And then we're going to draw our first road from this connector road. And I'm going to just try and follow along the contours if I can. It shouldn't be too difficult. We will make some adjustments with constant slope on when needed. But for the most part, we are just going to follow along the contours. And if I had to take a guess, I'm going to imagine the roads are going to come out to be very spaghetti-like, which is okay if the block lengths aren't super long. When the block lengths are too long, then our services won't be able to access them efficiently and people could get seriously hurt. Alright, definitely very spaghetti-like, and overall it's not bad as long as we make the appropriate connections. Over here, I think I'm going to start making a grid. This would be our easiest land to develop on, and because of that, it just makes sense to start building one out. We'll see how it looks. I want to make sure that the homes are facing the waterfront though. Alright, not gonna lie, this is looking a bit rough, but I think if we start sloping some of the terrain out, it should improve it a bit, and then we're just gonna fix up the roads, because right now they're a bit nonsensical. Alright, now let's delete this road because I only used it to build the grid, and now I want to send another road straight up to connect in. Overall, this little area is turning out better than I thought it would. Taking a look at the views, you'd have some views, maybe not the best views, but you'd have some views, which is better than nothing. I guess it really depends on the height of the building. Now I'm looking at this block length, and before I do anything else, I'm realizing it's way too long. So I'll roughly measure it and then divide that in two, and I should get somewhere in the middle. It won't be perfect, but we're not really aiming for perfect. We're aiming for something that feels good, looks good, functions, and is somewhat realistic. And I think we're getting close to that. I want to make a few more connections into our grid. So I'm going to start with right here, and we'll just use the curved road tool, see if we can curve right in, get something reasonable. Right now we're at 5%. That gives us about 4%, which is solid. I'll take it. I was hoping to make a straight through connection for this entire area, just like straight up from that bottom road, but I think I'll have to settle for this because this is about as solid as I can get. When I come down here and try to come up, the grade is just so difficult to work with. So I think we might send this around instead of through. And to do that, what we'll do is we'll create a pad up here, and we'll just right click with the slope terrain tool and just send it right up. We'll do this a little bit on the sides as well, because I want to be able to just come up here easily without too much hassle. And you can see if we send it straight up, it's around 8%. All right, it's a pretty solid connection. Obviously, if we could get it to be a straight through connection, that would be the dream, but we can't. And it's not too steep either. Honestly, it's really reasonable. Maybe even too reasonable. Looking at that, I feel like we could have made that 7 to 8% grade work and been perfectly fine. But that's just how City Skylines is sometimes. Sometimes it tells you it's 5% when realistically it's probably like 4. I was thinking about adding an eyebrow here, but also at the same time, I'm not really in love with the way this road looks. It feels almost curvy for little to no reason. We could have just spent a little bit of extra money doing the grading, and that probably would have made this a lot easier. I don't know yet. It's honestly tough for me to say. I'm going to put this road in first though, because I think this would be a developable piece of land. Hopefully, once we place the houses down, we'll see. I'm going to just go through and just do a little bit of terrain work, mostly leveling and just creating pads for buildings. Now I want to add a few more targeted connections and then just rethink this top road right here, just because I think it could definitely be different and better. All right, now to close out this area, my final thoughts are, I think it definitely looks weird and odd for sure, but it will look nicer once there's actually development on it. Maybe there's some potential for a park as well. I mean, we already have Mills Park, so maybe adding another park is kind of like a cop-out, but overall, it's okay. I'm fine with it. It's not perfect, but it can be better soon, once we get development on it. Now let's turn our attention to this downtown area. There's a very big key thing that I want to do here, and that's to maximize the zoning on the actual waterfront itself. And in order to do that, we need to create a grid from the waterfront. In order to create that grid, I need to go back on something I've already done. So just delete this key wall, and with it deleted, I'm just going to extend this. I'll do a bit of land reclamation, because if we don't, the grid will be too small and compact, and it just comes out looking weird. I've tried it like twice, and each time it was really bugging me. So we'll pretend the previous key wall never existed. It wasn't me who built it, it was someone else. And then we'll just level this terrain right here, and we'll probably do something similar on the other side. And I'm not sure why, for some reason I struggled with this area. I couldn't get it to flow the way I wanted to, and it just came out looking really weird every single time. So I struggled and struggled and struggled, and eventually I landed on this. For the most part, I'm pretty happy with this. There is a little hill right here. That's why we have that curve. And really, again, the main goal was just to focus all of our development on the waterfront as much as possible. And I think we achieved that. It's pretty solid. We have nice connectivity as well, and we have connectivity to the bus station. And then this plot right here, I just wanted it to mimic the on hold plot. Then while I was looking at this, I figured we could make a really easy and targeted connection from our more steep area into our new area. And to me, I think it worked pretty well, because we just followed this curve right here all the way down, straight in. And then we had these big plots right here. I just split them right in half. And then we had this little weird spot right here, which I kind of like for some reason. I feel like it just breaks things up for no reason, which happens in cities all the time. And then looking at one of our bigger plots, we definitely could just break it up a bit. It doesn't have to be big. Really just depends on how the development occurs. So we can just send this road, use the curve road tool, curve right in, and bam, now it's broken up a bit. Before I leave this area, I'm going to give each of them a district and then give them a name, because I don't want to keep calling them new downtown area and steep area or grade area. Okay, and Moonlight Crest, Willow Heights, they're actually not that bad. Oh, Willow Heights isn't a bad name. Moonlight Crest is a bit of a weird name, but I've got some good names in my back pocket. So for this area, I really don't like Broad Gardens. It really bugs me. I'm going to change it to Pinecrest Cliffs, or actually just Pinecrest. We'll just change it to Pinecrest. That's nice. And then we have a shore, and I really don't like that name either. It was mostly just a bad joke, but now I'm prepared. I've got names in my back pocket and I'm ready to name. So I'm going to change this to Cedar Heights. It'll match Ashland Heights, and I think it's a nice name. It follows the tree naming scheme. And our efforts have been rewarded. Nice. Milestone 11. So 275,000, 11 development points, 18 expansion permits. I mean, we're probably going to use those expansion permits really soon now, so they're coming in handy, but I think we already have a lot. But either way, the money is nice because we're bleeding right now, and I don't think we're going to be able to catch up until we start developing all of these areas. We also unlocked the Cinevista, which is nice because I can think of at least 3 or 4 places to put this, so I'm excited to add this into the build for sure. But now let's get back to our naming before I forget. I actually don't mind the name Willow Heights, but I'm going to change it just because. So I'm going to change it to Hickory Bluff. Then for Moonlight Crest, I'm going to change this one to Claywood. And now to move on to our third area, we're probably going to have to buy another tile. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to buy another tile. Thankfully, it's barely anything. It's 9,000 per month for upkeep and then 49,000 upfront cost. So not a problem at all. We're going to purchase this. Similar to Claywood, we're going to run this road all the way down, trying to follow the natural terrain as much as possible. If we need to, we'll do more land reclamation. I'm going to do some guideline roads, so essentially just draw them in. That way I know where I want to curve the road to, and then we'll build our grid from there. Really just trying to maximize the waterfront development. And then as we get to up here, I want to be really careful not to disturb the water. We want to try and preserve it as much as possible. So we'll add the key wall in everywhere except for there. And then we're just going to add the key wall back in and fix up some of these roads. We're going to use the curve road tool. We're going to break the nodes and then just curve right in. And you're probably wondering, what are you doing? And I agree. I thought adding in all the nodes and breaking them first would make it easier to speed up the footage and then do a little time lapse. But then I forgot which nodes I needed to delete, and honestly, I just feel silly after that. Okay, now I need to fix up those key walls down there, but I'm looking at this and I just don't like it. It feels too blocky, too gritty, too... I don't know, like the angles just seem off. Is it just me? So I think I'm going to give another stab at this, but before I do, I'm going to try cleaning up the terrain a bit. Right now the water's a bit high, and maybe that's just messing with my vision or my sight for what I want this area to be. I don't know. I'm going to try it though. Well, it definitely looks better. To reset my eyes, I'm just going to add in our second connection down here. It's coming off from our arterial, so we want it to be roughly at a 90 if we can get it there. We want to make sure that this junction is handled with love and care, because right beside it is our highway, and that's where our interchange is coming into, so we definitely don't want to back up this really important road. And we're getting some pretty high grades at like 10%, so we're going to use the complex curve tool, and we're just going to curve right into this road. And at 4 to 5%, that's not bad at all, so we'll accept that. We'll pretend we're taking some soil from Hickory Bluffs, and then we'll just add it here. Now we'll remove the trees and fix up the terrain right by the water source. So I fixed up some of the curves just a bit. I'm seeing the water line now, and I really don't like that. I want to make sure this is high enough. Yeah, it's definitely not high enough. So we're going to select all of the nodes. All right, now with all of them selected, I'm just going to take a road and I'm going to draw the road exactly where I want it to align it to. So I'm thinking right there. So then we'll just open up, move it, click back on the node and to object height. And that looks a billion times better. Definitely much better. All right, now I think it's time to upgrade this 2-lane into a 4-lane. I wasn't doing it before because it just looked weird without the extra road going to the left. But now that we have it in, it'll probably look so much better. And yeah, it looks perfect. This is exactly what I want it to look like. It was bugging me before, that's why I didn't upgrade it, but now it kind of actually fits into the area. Then I'll just do some basic cleanup with traffic, set priority. And now to build our grid, there isn't too much to say about this grid because it's going to be very similar to the downtown one. Really, we want to focus on the waterfront, we want to make sure it's connected, we want to make sure it looks somewhat nice, and we want to try and follow the terrain when and if we can. But there is one thing I can say, and that right there looks really bad. Oh, it happened when I aligned the nodes. Okay, I'll go back and fix that. Yeah, I really didn't like that curved road, so I just got rid of it, inserted a straight segment instead. I think it's going to be a lot easier to develop, especially in City Skylines too. And for the amount of land that we're reclaiming, it's really insignificant. All right, and 10 minutes later, this is the final iteration. So along the arterial, there is a bunch of terrain difficulties. It's very, very, very steep. So my ideal workaround is just not to develop on it. It's not really too big of a deal. I don't want to get too close to the arterial and start jamming things up. There is some key connections. Overall, it looks okay. I really just want to get developing on it because I think that's when I can make these areas shine. When I'm just looking, oh, we unlocked the Westwood Center. That's nice. There are a bunch of different areas that I think this would be a solid fit for. Oh, even the Cinevista. I want to get placing these. I can't wait. Pinfall Palace is nice too. Where is our... Oh, there it is. So like imagine this like right here on the front or over here along kind of like this area. Definitely fits and it can definitely look really nice. Now I need to stop getting distracted. What was I talking about? Right, I was talking about the development. So looking at the roads right now, it just looks really bare. It's in my mind, I'm like, is this good? Is this good enough? But once we start developing on it, that's when I think I start to shine. And I'm like, okay, this does look good. This is exactly the way I wanted it to be. For this little area right here, I was thinking we just add in some pedestrian paths or one of the pedestrian roads. I think we can make it look pretty nice. And in our last and final area, I keep seeing that there's these low little points right here where I really think we could add in a small pond. Either it's a retention pond or it was just naturally there before. I don't know. I'm not worried about it, but I want to try and add it in. Every time I try and play with this tool, I always end up flooding something like I just did. And that's because I used the wrong type of water source. I'm actually going to open up the dev mode and just maximize my water simulation. And that's going to lead to my computer getting ready to take off like an airplane. I'm hoping to dry this out is really what I'm trying to do here, but I think I might just have to go over it with the train. I didn't really want to do that. It's kind of the last thing I want to do. I think I also have to fix this road. Okay, road fixed, water fixed. I think this right here would be the perfect area for a pond. So this time I'm going to level this out a bit. Get rid of all the trees. This time I'll use the lake water source because I believe that's constant level. Yes, it's constant level. Then we'll right click to where we want it to be and we'll place it down. And then I find it kind of difficult to make a natural looking pond, really any body of water. So I tried to stay as close to the contours as possible, hoping to get something that feels kind of natural and organic. I don't know if it turned out that way. We'll see soon. And I need to download the riverbed texture, but I think that's fairly solid, so I don't really have any problems with that. Once I add in the riverbed texture, it'll look so much nicer. Then I'm just going to level these areas right here, where they clearly have water in them. For road placement, this is actually really easy because we're just going to follow along the contours. There's a pretty massive hill right here, so we're not going to worry about the hill. Instead, we're just going to go around it. We'll use a complex curve tool right here, just to try and make a nice sweeping connection in. I'm not really happy with how that turned out. It almost feels like a slingshot, but I'm not going to try to worry about it right now. I just want to get these roads connected in. So we'll create some guideline roads and follow along our contour lines. As we approach this area, I want to be really careful about the water source, so I don't want to disturb it. I could just draw a straight connection, but I think I'll just use the complex curve tool right here. Turn on snapped guidelines, draw a straight segment, go up, over, then we'll just connect those in. Now our water pond type thing is another restriction, so we want to go around it, but I'll also consider the area where there's a little bit of terrain work to contend with. There's not much, so that's nothing significant, but maybe this will be more of a protected area in terms of nature and trees, and that's something that the city would be very serious about. And really this area to me is more of a low density residential area, probably somewhere where the wealthiest people in the city would live, just due to the fact that this would be a pretty exclusive location. You have the pond, you have the waterfront, which is close, but not right there. So because of that, I'm going to make this very suburban feeling. Before I continue any further, I'm going to take a moment to place some trees here. Overall, not too bad. I think we'll need to do a bit more detailing here, and that's why I'm going to download the riverbed surface texture as well. And I think once we actually develop this area, it'll really come together, it'll really come alive. But for right now, just for a pond and some trees, I'm happy with it, and I am excited to develop here later on. Now we're going to add districts to both of these areas and then assign them a name. For this area, we're going to borrow some more real-life inspiration and go with Lithia Gardens, which we're naming after Lithia Park from the real-life Ashland. And I was going to give this area a name, but I think Woodland actually fits really well. I was mostly messing around when I was doing Lithia Gardens, so I'm just going to quickly redo it. There we go. I did like the original, but I also wanted to maximize some of the developable lots here, and the original just didn't really have all that much that could have been developed. Now I just want to add in some trees to the side of this area, really fill it in. There we go. Now in the future, when I wonder why didn't we develop in that area, I'll see all the trees and hopefully I'll remember that it's because of terrain restrictions. Overall, these plots I'm pretty happy with. I mean, they're very simple districts. There's nothing crazy, but it does add to the city very significantly. And I don't know if I want to go past Claywood for where it is right now, just because I have an idea of sending a highway through there. Like for an example, it's not going to be this exactly, but something like this. So we lower the elevation to around -10 meters and just send it through here, have a nice bridge. And that way we can connect up to future areas, because I do want to have a port around here. And I think that would be pretty cool. like right there, because we have a lot of developable land right here. But when we follow along this train, it starts to become smaller and there's not much room to develop, but we could run a small highway through there. We could develop the island and we could develop that little piece right there. Anyways, last thing I want to do before ending this episode, I want to add in the elementary school, because right now we're only fulfilling high school. And in my head, I've thought of it like an elementary school and a high school, but in the game, it just doesn't work like that. And I want to get a college and a university ready for the future. So in order to do that, we need to improve our education. And the best way to do that right now is to build an elementary school. And I think we'll go with the US Southwestern one. It does offer a lot of room for upgrades and expansions down the line, which I think we're going to use most of them just because we have 2,200 students eligible right now. And in the future, this area will become a lot more dense. Right now we have single family residential homes, but it's not going to stay like that forever. There will be a natural growth to this area that will change. So what I'm trying to say is I think the upgrade path for this building will help a lot. Let's get it placed in. And then let's just start adding in some of the expansions. We have these add-ons. I'm not going to use them yet, but we can use them in the future if we need them. And that puts our capacity at 2,500. And it seems like a lot right now, but when we expand and develop all of the areas we just built out, it really won't be enough. So we'll need to build some local schools for those areas as well. And that'll probably come in each of their episodes development. We'll add in all the local services, and we have a lot of services to add actually when I'm thinking about it. Road maintenance, park maintenance, those are two big ones. We're losing a lot of benefits from not having those in. Anyways, I'm going to finish up fixing this path, which doesn't want to work for some reason. Is it because I'm using the wrong path? It doesn't seem like it. I'm going to add this in. I'm going to do a little bit of detailing around the building. I'm going to change out some of the surfaces, add some trees, and that'll pretty much be it. I wish there was a way to organize or like at least favorite surfaces, because I have some surfaces that I love and some that I don't like. And honestly, I wish I could get rid of the ones I don't like, or at least, I don't know, put them in some type of bucket or folder or group. And the ones that I really love, I'd love to just put them in a bucket or folder or group as well. Looking back here, the building seems like it wants me to run a road back there, and I really don't want to. I'm tempted to just do it just to give it the access, but I'm also tempted to not do it because I don't want to. I'll do it for now, and I guess if it comes down to it, we can just say the add-ons are faculty buildings of some sort. I was debating whether to add this pocket park here, but I'm kind of happy that I did. I feel like it does add just a little bit more to this area. But I am going to delete these trees and re-add them back in, and I'm also going to delete my bus stop, which is fine because we can just draw it back in. Somewhere right about there should do the trick. I'm looking at this pink line and I'm wondering why doesn't it have a stop here? And now I'm starting to see that there's no stops up here either. Did I forget to add in any of the bus stops for this entire line? Which means the bus has just been running around this entire loop doing nothing. All right, so I'm gonna add these in. I'll get everything fixed up. I did notice there was some weird jank happening. I'm not sure exactly why, but whenever I place one, the road seems to break a bit. That's okay because we're gonna be upgrading the road anyways. Yeah, you can see it right here. I don't know why it's breaking like this, but I know exactly how to fix it. We have to do it anyways because right now we have these super long bus segments. So we're giving the bus lanes like way too much space. The easiest way that I've seen to fix this without double clicking to add a node is just to change the road type slightly. So for example, this is just a 2-lane road. I have a copy of this road that's just a 2-lane road with trees, and that will count as a different road. So it won't go back and fix the nodes. To me, this is the better solution than double clicking, because when I double click, I can only insert one node, not two. I don't know if that's a skill issue or what, but I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna add all these bus stops, I'm gonna get this fixed out for real this time. Okay, and I wasn't a complete fool, so I did add some of the stops in, just not all of them, and arguably the most important. And whoa, I was wondering where I was. I wasn't used to this, the way this looks now, so that was kind of cool. I always like that when you're moving through your city and you're not used to the way it looks and it feels brand new. It's kind of always exciting. Sounds lame, but I don't know. Super exciting to me. This one I'm just gonna add a quick median, just because this is an interesting intersection and I want to make sure that the traffic isn't just crossing through. There's not really a big reason to turn into any of these 3 buildings on this road anyways. So because of that, we will have the median. And then everything else is looking good with this line. And I keep saying everything's good. And then I come and I see something that's not good. Looking at this right here, how could we miss the elementary school? That's the whole entire reason I went around in the first place. And we missed this stop right here. And I'm taking a guess in that we also missed the stop ahead because the road was doing that weird stuff right there. That's why I didn't add it in. Yeah, you can really see the road is doing some interesting things. And like, look how long this bus line segment is, or this bus lane segment is. It's extremely long, long for no reason. So we're gonna trim that down a bit. What is our current ridership? Pretty much exactly the same as it was last time we checked. So the pink line just hasn't caught up yet, and I'm hoping once it does, we'll see some even more improved numbers, which would be really nice. That line's taking up 5 buses. This one's taking up 7. I really wish we could just reduce the number of buses. Just let us choose. Alright, so that's a wrap. We laid out the road infrastructure for all of our new areas. We made some interesting spaghetti roads, expanded our downtown, built out a whole new waterfront area, and gave every neighborhood a real name this time, from Mills Park to Pinecrest to Cedar Heights, etc. We built out a new elementary school, a pond, and a few bus stop fixes, and Ashland is ready to explode with growth. And I don't know about you, but I'm having a lot of fun playing City Skylines too. Either way, thanks for hanging out with me. If you've enjoyed this one, please hit the like button, and if you aren't subscribed to the channel, please feel free to do so. It would mean a lot. I'll see you in the next one.